Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your questions, your notes, all your sources, and we really we pull out the key bits of knowledge that you need.
Yep. And today we are looking at pastimes, leisure, hobbies, and some of those surprisingly specific habits that define British life.
Our mission today is pretty simple. We want to get into the psychology of it all. What makes us start a hobby?
And, more importantly, what makes us drop it like a hot potato a few weeks later. We're using your listener Q&As as our map, so you get the full picture without any of the overload.
And we have to kick off with a question from Daniel in Italy because, honestly, it hits so close to home.
Oh, I think I know which one.
Yeah. He asks, are we actually any good at sticking with hobbies, or are we the type to start with, this huge burst of enthusiasm only to, quote, give up and get bored?
It's the classic commitment curve, isn't it? You get that initial dopamine hit from a new idea. It feels great.
Right, like I'm going to bake these incredible multi-layered cakes I saw online.
Exactly, or learn a whole new language. But then the actual work kicks in, the maintenance, the boring, consistent effort, and that's when the motivation just sort of evaporates.
I know that feeling so well. I see these amazing craft projects and I get that little surge, but then I just think of the cleanup. The sheer effort, it feels like so much work.
So what's stuck for you?
For me, it's running. And simple things, low-stakes stuff like making birthday cards for my family. That's about it.
See, and if you look at the other end of the scale, the really high-intensity stuff, the hurdle isn't just mental, it's physical.
You're talking about sports.
Yeah, my focus for years was on high-contact sports, so rugby, football, and a bit of golf. I played rugby for a long, long time, but I had to scale that way back.
And that's a story we see a lot in the sources, isn't it?
Yeah.
That move from playing to watching, especially in high-impact sports.
Yeah.
What were the actual barriers for you? What derailed it?
In a word, injury. I mean, rugby is a contact sport.
Yeah.
Physical toll is just, it's constant. You'd come home every week with what we politely call a fat lip or a black eye. It was just part of the deal.
And you can't really sustain that week in, week out.
It's incredibly difficult, especially when you factor in just healing time. And then on top of that, you have work.
Ah, yeah. The external factors.
Precisely. When you start working, especially a job like farming where the weather runs your life, you just can't promise you'll have a few hours free every single Saturday. Your priorities have to shift.
So leisure time gets pushed into things that are a bit simpler, a bit more flexible.
Obviously.
Okay, so high-intensity hobbies often get stopped by injuries and work. But what about the other side? The low-intensity weekend stuff. Mohammed from Algeria wants to know about the one-morning hobby that lots of Brits do on their weekends.
Right. Well, first, let's get the obvious one out of the way. The full English breakfast. The fry-up.
A national institution.
It is. But as much as we love it, we probably can't call eating a hobby, although some people pursue it with that level of passion.
That's very true. Okay, so setting food aside, what's the big one the sources point to for a weekend morning ritual?
Gardening. It ranks surprisingly highly. A huge chunk of the British population genuinely loves to garden.
And the sources gave us that great bit of context about the lockdown, didn't they?
They did. The garden centers were just completely overrun. Everything sold out because people suddenly had all this time and they just poured that energy right into their gardens.
And you can really see the results of that. The sources mentioned that because of this, everyone's lawns are now looking, quote, absolutely immaculate.
It's true. It's less about growing your own food and more about maintaining this perfectly ordered, beautiful little patch of green. It's about control, I think. Order.
Okay, so from the lawn to the links. The other big weekend thing mentioned was golf.
Yes, hugely popular. And I think the key reason is that it's described as just quite relaxed.
Which is interesting because it seems so serious and it takes up so much time. So why is it so accessible and social?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? It's not really about being some top-tier athlete. You don't have to be super fit.
You can just get a trolley if you don't want to walk.
You just order a trolley, exactly. And most importantly, it's a social thing. You play with 2, 3, 4 people. It's the perfect way to have a proper catch-up.
I love that little anecdote in the sources about it being a hangover cure at university.
Yes.
It just suggests a pace of life that lets you recover while you're actually doing something.
And it lasts a lifetime. The story about the granddad playing into his 90s, still winning bottles of champagne. It's a low-impact social ritual you can do forever.
Okay, let's switch gears. From being active to, well, just consuming things. Paulina in Estonia asked about our favorite British TV shows.
Ah, yes. Two big ones came up here.
The first was Mock the Week,
Hmm.
which is a comedy panel show all about the news, current affairs. It's almost like a cultural necessity, isn't it?
Yeah.
A way to process all the chaos of the week with a bit of satire.
It really is. And the second one is an old favorite, The Vicar of Dibley.
My favorite. With Don French as a vicar in this tiny, quirky village in Oxfordshire, it's just so gentle. It's proper comfort viewing.
And what's interesting there is how these classics are having a comeback. The sources mention BritBox.
Right. The streaming service.
It's a collaboration between the big UK TV stations, and it's basically put all these old beloved comedies like The Vicar of Dibley right back at our fingertips. It just shows you there's this real desire for, nostalgic comfort in what we watch.
From a cozy village to blinding speed, Ziad from Azerbaijan was asking if people in Great Britain like motorsports.
And the answer is a very big yes. The interest level is huge, especially for F1 racing.
But this is where it gets really interesting, because we see this clash between a huge passion and, well, modern-day efficiency.
Yes, the efficiency hack. This was fascinating. A source detailed how one fan who just needs to save time records the race.
And then only watches for about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. They just fast forward through almost all of it.
So it's not about the whole immersive experience anymore. It's just about getting the key data, the highlights. So what bits actually make the cut for those 20 minutes?
The sources are really specific on this. You watch the start for the action. You watch the middle, but only for the pit stops.
Okay.
And then you watch the last few laps for the end. Everything else in between is, as the source put it, basically nap time.
Wow. So it's this highly curated, super distilled version of a hobby.
It really is.
We want the drama, the noise, you need ear defenders for it, the smell of petrol, all of it. But only in these tiny, efficient bursts. We want the payoff without the buildup.
It says a lot about how we value our time, even when we're meant to be relaxing, doesn't it?
It really does. So Sonia asked a very nice question about what hobbies we share.
Ah, right.
Well, before we get to that, my own list is running, some exercise classes like body pump, which is weights and cardio, and bar Pilates.
That sounds intense.
It's like ballet movements mixed with Pilates. Very small, precise stuff. And I like making things, like cards. Not so keen on driving.
And for me, well, my work is farming, so I'm outside walking all day. My leisure tends to be a bit less structured. But what connects us is pretty simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Going for long walks in the countryside.
Although sometimes after a day on the farm, another long walk is the last thing I want to do.
That's fair. And spending time with our dog and cat.
Absolutely. But the biggest shared connection, the real collaborative hobby, has to be food.
It's always been food. I cook, and you.
Well,
You eat.
I will admit that was the original deal, but I think that relationship is evolving. I have upped my game in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm taking on more of the cooking. It's becoming a proper joint effort. You can measure the dedication.
You really can. I'm thinking of that incredible salad you made. It wasn't just chicken and bacon. It had walnuts and avocado, sweet corn. That level of detail shows a real shift to, committed creative cooking.
Thank you.
So if we take that idea of commitment back to a national level, Salma from Morocco asked about the most common hobbies in England.
Well, you have to mention football, obviously. As a spectator sport and for participation, it's huge.
Of course.
But if you look at the sheer numbers, the participation rates, the sources say that fishing might actually be one of the most participated in activities in the whole country.
That's a huge insight. Especially because it's not always about the result, is it? It's about the process.
Exactly. The sources talk about catch and release, like fly fishing, where the fish go straight back. It's the ritual, the quiet time, the dedication to the act itself. That's what defines it.
So, when we pull this all together, this whole deep dive, we've gone across the entire spectrum. From the high-impact sports like rugby being derailed by injury.
All the way to the slow, consistent dedication you need for a perfect garden or a weekly round of social golf.
And then we looked at how we consume our leisure, the comfort of old TV shows versus the super efficient way we watch high-octane motorsports.
Right. And that brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with, which builds on that F1 efficiency hack.
What does it say about how we see leisure today? That we feel this need to be efficient, even when we're supposed to be relaxing.
We fast forward through what we see as the boring bits, the nap time of life, just to get to the highlights.
So the question is, what are we skipping over in those quiet, repetitive moments of our hobbies? The tedious pit stops of life or the long walk between the golf holes. Are we missing something important in our rush to be efficient? Is that where the real relaxation is?
Something for you to think about next time you're planning your downtime. Until the next deep dive, keep learning.